When you think of depression, anxiety, and mental health, you probably think immediately of the head and brain. You think of the faulty areas within the brain that are causing trouble, or even the imbalance of hormones like serotonin that are causing symptoms like low mood. Power has been given to this way of thinking for so long due to sayings like not right in the head and out of their mind. However, as I've expanded my knowledge by taking the time to look into factors that affect mental health, one thing's become clear. It's your gut. Hi you guys, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Whilst you're here, why not drop me a like, comment, subscribe, or all three? It literally helps my channel grow so much and reach new people, especially people suffering with IBS. Today we are finding out if your gut makes you depressed and anxious, and discussing how IBS affects your mental health. So before talking about the four major components that we're going to discuss today, we need to understand the two main nervous systems that we're going to chat about. So the first one is the CNS, also known as the central nervous system. And the central nervous system is in charge of pretty much everything you do. It's in charge of your brain, it's in charge of you walking, it's in charge of every major bodily function and the mind. And then the ENS, called the enteric nervous system, is in charge of your gut. Now the enteric nervous system is pretty spectacular. Everything that happens in your body normally needs to be run past your mind, whereas the enteric nervous system has been given the allowance to make these decisions without communicating with the brain. So this means that digestion can go on without your brain having to govern everything that's going on, and it can just continue by itself. Now traditionally, if we're talking about mental health, you would jump to the idea that if there's a problem with mental health, it's something to do with the CNS, the central nervous system. However, the ENS is large and in charge when it comes to controlling some major elements that involve mental health. So let's find out if your gut is making you depressed and anxious. Now the first one we're going to talk about today is serotonin. And serotonin is widely known by many people as the happiness hormone. It's a chemical that's produced by nerve cells, and it's absolutely vital when it comes to thinking about your mental health. So let's just quickly establish the relationship between serotonin and your gut. So I didn't know this, but the enteric nervous system, which completely lines your intestinal tract, is where 90% of the body's serotonin is found. 90%! That's just like, what? That is so much. And this isn't just important for mental health. Serotonin reduces depression, regulates anxiety, heals wounds, maintains bone health, controls bowel movement and regularity, and is in charge of your ability to sleep well and wake up easily. So if you're suffering from IBS and you feel your mood is really low, this could be the little key that you've been missing. It may be that your gut is unable to harbour that 90% of serotonin that it would normally have, and that's making you have bad sleep, low moods, depression, anxiety, terrible bowel movements, meaning your IBS could be causing you depression and anxiety. I love this mug so much. It's my friend's mug and I am absolutely obsessed with it. Isn't it just unagi? It's not something you are, it's something you have. Any other Friends fans out here? Drop a comment section below with your favourite quote. I met my friend the other day and she did the best Janice impression I have ever seen in my entire life. And she did the Joey and Janice's Day of Fun! And I won't lie, I've literally just started rewatching the whole thing all over again. Right, back on topic. 50% of dopamine is actually produced in your gut, which means that if IBS flare-ups are causing you problems in your gut, you might not be producing the 50% that other guts are producing. Now, dopamine functions to help you learn, concentrate. It controls your heart rate. It controls motivation. It affects mood, attention, pain. And I even mentioned this in my losing weight after lockdown video, which I will link for you up there and also drop it down in the comment section below, because I was saying to you guys that you need to not rely on motivation if you're suffering with IBS. And losing weight without motivation, that is such a difficult thing to achieve. And if you're not producing enough dopamine, again, because of your gut, you're not going to have the same amount of motivation that other people have when it comes to losing weight. So definitely for sure jump on down to that video after this one. But let's just think about what this means for a second. So you've already got a low mood because where there's normally 90% of serotonin, we probably have a lot less. But also on top of that, we don't have the 50% of dopamine that we need. You already feel low, so you try and do something that's going to cheer you up, something you know that's going to make you feel happy. But your motivation to leave the bed or do anything is through the floor. You probably didn't sleep that well because your serotonin's off balance. You have zero motivation to go anywhere or do anything because of the dopamine. You're probably in more pain than you would be if your dopamine was where it should be. And then on top of that, even if you overcome all of these obstacles and all of these things standing in your way, when you finally get to that thing that you knew was going to make you feel good, you might actually not feel as good as you normally do because dopamine is affecting the way you're perceiving pleasure. And it's just Yeah, so dopamine is definitely a massive factor coming into anxiety, depression, and mental health when you're thinking about IBS, bloating conditions, IBD, and any other digestive tract problems. Okay, so we've addressed the main ones. Now let's move on to ones that you might not have heard of before. So the next one we're going to be talking about is encephalin. Encephalin is a peptide which acts as an opioid receptor, and it inhibits some pain responses and also allows natural opioids to do their work. So basically it facilitates pleasure and stops pain. Now encephalins are widely distributed in the gut, with the highest levels being in the duodenum and ileum, shortly followed by the stomach, cecum, and colon. I think I'm saying all of those right? Anyway, they're all really fancy words, but every single one of them is a section of the GI tract. So on top of lower serotonin and lower dopamine, causing you to feel low, not sleep well, and also have no motivation and not feel pleasure as intensely as you normally would, you can also have low encephalin, which means it's causing you more pain, less happiness, and again, it's just a recipe for anxiety and depression. The fourth point I'm going to talk to you about is actually two different things. Now, originally this was just one, and then I did research into it, and it's not the original hormone that causes the issue. These two things work side by side, and the only way I can do it is to explain them together. Those two things are benzodiazepines and GABA, G-A-B-A. So first, let's explain benzodiazepine. So benzodiazepine is basically GABA's hype girl. Benzodiazepines enhances the function of naturally occurring GABA. So basically, the benzodiazepine is there like, you got this GABA, you go, you work, you do your thing. So what is GABA's thing? GABA is a natural relaxant. It allows you to chill out. It allows you to stay calm and get rid of all of those horrible anxiety hormones like adrenaline and noradrenaline that can be released when we're stressed or bloated or suffering with IBS. GABA is described as similar to Valium, and it reduces the three main symptoms of anxiety, stress, and fear. What the actual, like, how can you get a worse combination? When I did this research, I was in absolute shock. I mainly thought that benzodiazepines were a tablet that you took, and I knew that they were produced naturally inside of us, but I didn't really think that they were that important. And then I realized that our natural Valium, our natural relaxant and calmer that stops you from feeling that horrible ball of stress and anxious energy in your chest is facilitated to do its job by benzodiazepines. And the gut is a rich source of benzodiazepines. So that means that on top of low dopamine, low serotonin, low encephalin, we also have low benzo, which means that we're not having normal function of GABA. So not only are these things making us low, depressed, low motivation, they makes us feel anxious. The thing that's meant to come along and save the day, GABA, hasn't got its hype girl next to her. She hasn't got the thing that she needs in order to keep going and make us feel calm and get rid of that horrible ball of anxiety. If you guys follow me, you know that I did a 66-hour vlog. I'll link it up there for you and also drop it in the comment section below for you to watch if you like. But I remember when I did that research that in all of the positive effects that happen at around hour 36, when old fat gets found and burnt, there's an increase in GABA. And back then I was like, well, okay, that's great and they say it's good, but like, what actually is it? And now I'm sat here, it's like a full freaking circle. I'm sat here doing this video and I'm learning why GABA is so important and why it makes you feel anxious and why I felt so calm when I got to that point of my fast. I felt so relaxed, just content and happy. And I swear to you guys, I was just a better person. Like, if it was a possibility, I just shouldn't eat. But I need food. I'm in love with food. I'm obsessed with food. I can't not eat food. So through this mechanism, through benzodiazepine and GABA, your IBS could be causing you some severe anxiety and depression. Oh, my leg is content. Now, on top of all of the amount changes that I've already discussed with you guys, due to whatever reason, whether it's a bloat, stress, nutritional changes, diet changes, not only does the amount change, but the concentration and the reason that it's used for its function can change for all 5 of these things. And this is why it just amazes me when you talk to doctors about mental health. So many people are referred to things that are fixing the CNS, the mind, and instead they're suffering abdominal symptoms. So why not look at their gut? It's called the brain-gut connection, or the brain-gut link. And basically, it's now been widely documented by research and doctors. And what they're finding is lots of people who suffer with depression, anxiety as their initial element are also then going on to find problems with IBS and digestive problems. And vice versa. People with IBS are going on to suffer with mental health problems. There was a study done where they took a group of people and they checked in with them 1 year apart. They had just been diagnosed with IBS, and 1 year later when they checked back in with them, there was an exponential rise in depression and anxiety in that group. It's also been found that 51% of people who suffer from IBS or IBD also suffer mental health symptoms. And one of the things that's also not helping with this is a lot of the medication that's used to treat mental health, the side effects are gastro problems. So they might be treating the brain and the CNS side of it, but they're not looking at the enteric nervous system. They're not looking at the gut. And instead they're kind of saying, to hell with it, take this medication. It will help with your anxiety and depression, but it's actually going to make your IBS and your bloating worse. And in the long run, that's going to make your mental health worse. And it's this vicious cycle. There are a few ways that you can increase serotonin, dopamine, and GABA just by changing your diet. So in terms of increasing serotonin, you can look at foods like eating salmon, spinach, eggs, poultry, seeds, milk, soy, and nuts. And if you want to increase your dopamine, you need to increase your protein, decrease your saturated fat, and also maybe try some velvet beans. Exercising often is good for all three of them, and natural sources of GABA can be found in foods like kefir, natural probiotic yogurts, probiotics, potatoes, beans, and lentils. So maybe take a look at what you've been feeling. Have you been feeling low, depressed, anxious, a lack of motivation? And then look at one of those things on how you can increase those. Also, if you are suffering from mental health and you're already on a medication, maybe speak to your doctor about the effects that it could be having on your gut, making your gut worse, and in the long run, making your mental health worse. Thank you so much for tuning into this video today. I really hope that it helped explain how your IBS can affect your mental health and cause things like anxiety and depression, and want everyone out there to know that they're not alone. And IBS can make you feel so rubbish, so don't be so hard on yourself and give yourself time, love, and care. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you have any questions or anything you'd like to add, just drop it in the comment section below. You can also find me on Instagram, which I will link for you just right there, and make sure to jump on down to that subscribe button. It really helps me so much in growing my YouTube channel. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next week. Bye!